Did you know that digestion begins before you've ever taken a mouthful? In this video, we'll reveal how to ready your digestive system so that when you eat, you don't get bloating and acid reflux and discomfort. How to calm your digestive system so that you can eat so many more different types of foods without any digestive discomfort. We're going to show you some herbs that people have been using for thousands of years to improve your digestion, and show you a couple of little known tricks that will help you double the quality of your digestion in half the time. Now, you may have heard that digestion begins in the mouth. Actually, digestion begins before you've ever even opened your mouth to chew. This is called the cephalic phase of digestion, and it involves creating an optimal environment for your body to digest food. There are several ways to enhance this and promote better digestion, and in this video we'll show you the best tricks and tips you can use to help. Now, I want you to imagine this. You head to the cinema to see the latest James Bond film. But before you go in, you buy the biggest box of popcorn that you can find. And as you sit down to watch the trailers, you start snacking on the popcorn. And about halfway through the film, you put your hand into the box and you realize the popcorn's completely gone. What happened? It was full just a minute ago. Did I spill some? Did my wife eat some? But the reality is, I ate it all. I just wasn't aware. Now consider this scenario. You sit down at the table, give thanks for your meal. The beautiful smells and aromas fill the room and your nostrils with the most incredible smells. Your mouth starts to salivate just thinking about how tasty this food is going to be. You smile as the conversation around you picks up and people start tucking in. And that first bite, oh, heaven. You savor the flavors as you slowly chew the food. Now, of those two scenarios, which ones do you think is going to prime your system for better digestion? Do you think you're going to be digesting the popcorn better, or the meal you sat down and ate with friends and family? Now, if you're not sure, I'm going to tell you it's definitely the second one. And that's because you're being a lot more mindful when you're eating. And when you're mindlessly eating while you're watching a film, eating the popcorn, your digestion is secondary to the primary activity you're doing, which is focused on James Bond. So our first tip today is that you need to be more mindful about the food that you're eating. And we're going to share some tips about how you can do that. The first thing is to be thankful that you have a solid meal. Now, in the Western world, I think we often take for granted the fact that we're eating. We didn't have to hunt for it. We didn't have to kill it. We didn't have to pluck it. We didn't have to clean it. It's pretty much pre-packaged. We just have to cook it. So first, I think you should be grateful that you don't have to do all of those processes before that plenty of other people have to. The second thing is to focus on your food. The smell, the taste, the texture. Be more mindful when you're eating is going to improve your digestion significantly. Don't be one of those people staring at the TV, scrolling through the iPhone while you're eating. Remember, when you're eating, eat, and then move on to those other activities after. Don't forget to slow down. I recommend my clients take at least 15 minutes to finish their meals, preferably 20. This gives your brain time to tell your stomach to release its acid to help break down your food. It gives your pancreas time to produce the right digestive enzymes, and it allows your liver and gallbladder to work together to produce bile that helps you digest fats. Inhaling deeply before you eat will put your body in what we call the rest and digest state. 5 deep breaths before you eat will calm your central nervous system and tell your body food is coming. And finally, engage in your senses. Colors, textures, and visual presentation of your food all aid in that cephalic phase of digestion. Tip number 2, you've got to chew. Now, proper chewing not only helps you break down your food correctly, but it also stimulates the production of something we call salivary amylase and lingual lipase. Amylase is an enzyme used to digest carbohydrates, and lipase is an enzyme used to digest fats. The more you can pre-digest your food by chewing, the easier it is on all your other digestive organs. Let's say, for example, you had a hamburger, you took 2 big bites, you chewed twice, and then you swallowed. Your stomach would have to work significantly harder than if you chewed each one of those 100 times. Now, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Nobody needs to chew 100 times, but if you don't chew your food properly, your stomach is always going to struggle more. Take smaller bites. It is not a good idea to have huge mouthfuls of food chowing down, because again, you're less likely to chew. Taking smaller bites will not only improve your chewing, but it will slow the rate down at which you eat. Remember, we should be aiming for 15, probably 20 minutes to eat your meals. Tip number 3, eat in this environment. Have you ever tried to eat walking around, running around, or standing up? Have you noticed you get significantly more digestive issues than when you're sitting down focused on your food? That's because you're trying to eat in what we call the fight or flight state. Your body is busy running around. That means all the blood is in the extremities. It's in your arms, it's in your legs. It's not in the digestive organs that do the digestion. Eating in a relaxed setting optimizes that digestive system, that rest and digest mode that we want you to be in. Another way you can activate that rest and digest system is by stimulating the vagus nerve that is directly connected from your brain to your gut. You can do that by singing. You can do it by oming, like om, or you can do it by gargling. All of those will help stimulate that vagal nerve and vagal tone and put you in that rest and digest state. Number 4, eat the opposite to everybody else. Now, what most people do is they will have a tiny little breakfast or skip breakfast completely. They will have a meaningful lunch and they will have a huge dinner. That is the complete opposite of what you want to do to improve your digestive system. Remember, your stomach acid production and enzyme production and bile flow all work best during the light hours and especially in the morning. The larger meals you eat towards the end of the day when digestion has slowed down is more likely to give you acid reflux, bloating and a hungover feeling the next day because it interferes with your sleep. Our recommendation, breakfast like a king and dinner like a pauper. Tip number 5, English people pay attention. It is to use herbs and spices. There are certain herbs that have been used by people for thousands of years to help improve digestion. Things like ginger and fennel and turmeric. They can all help stimulate stomach acid production. Now, we want to start with stomach acid production because the stomach is the most important organ when it comes to digesting your food. If the contents that come out of the stomach are not acidic enough, then the pancreatic enzyme production is not sufficient, the bile flow from the gallbladder is not sufficient, and digestion in the small intestine is not as efficient. Alongside the herbs you use for stomach, we can use specific herbs for the liver and the gallbladder, like dandelion or lemon. Pretty much anything bitter can help the liver and gallbladder. And there are even herbs that you can use to help increase the enzymatic flow from the pancreas, such as fenugreek and bitter melon. Even chilies can help improve stomach acid production, which is why a lot of people get relief when they have cayenne pepper and they have acid reflux, because it's increasing your acid production, improving the ability to digest your food. Number 6, hydrate before meals. Being sufficiently hydrated before you consume food can help stimulate gastric secretions, that's stomach acid and pepsin, used inside the stomach in that first phase of digestion. Now, we're not huge fans of large volumes of liquid while you're eating, and I'm not such a huge fan of large volumes of liquid just before you eat either. So what we recommend is that you stay hydrated throughout the day. No large amounts of water, even small and often would be a better choice. How do you know if you're well hydrated? Well, if you go to the toilet and it looks a dark yellow or even slightly brown, you could probably say you're not consuming enough water. On the flip side, if you urinate and it looks like water, then you probably drank too much water and you need to add some minerals like a pinch of Celtic salt, or maybe just reduce the water slightly. Number 7, avoid eating on the go. We've spoken about this before. You don't want to be in that fight or flight state while you're eating. You want to be in the rest and digest state. The biggest problem that when you're on the go, you're not in that cephalic phase. You don't get any of the benefits. You're not thinking about food. You're not looking at the food. You're just shoveling it in on the run. I think this is especially important for people that work at a desk. It is a really bad idea for you to consume your lunch while you're working. There is always more work to do. The work will still be there after you finish your lunch. I recommend moving away from the desk or your area of work, eating and then going back to whatever you was doing. You will find a significant improvement in your digestion. And finally, practice mealtime hygiene. You probably have heard about sleep hygiene, where you have to go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, and it's very similar with mealtime hygiene. Eating meals at a regular time helps your body anticipate food and regulate digestive enzyme and stomach acid secretion more effectively. It is much better to get your body in a constant routine of when it needs to eat and when it needs to rest to improve your digestive function. So there you have some tips to improve your digestive system. Please like and follow along so you don't miss out on any future videos.